Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is in Canada National Aboriginal Indigenous Peoples Day. So we just wanted to give you a little taste of bread and cheese. Anyway, a little bit of Western Canadian Indigenous delight. And welcome, Renee. You just missed bread and cheese. So anyway, welcome to Ideas That Matter. As some of you, or maybe most of you know, we ran the Summer Institutes for 34 years, and then pretty much the pandemic arrived, and we discovered we couldn't do it that way anymore. So we invented the Virtual Summer Institute, which was wonderful, but also a different kind of marathon. So we've scaled back, but continuing our commitment, because as it turns out, there are wonderful ideas and practices that we can share with each other. And this is one of the ways we can do that. So we have created and are continuing our self-appointed tradition of Ideas That Matter. And today, we're going to be privileged to explore a visual story in a digital world with Gabby Melnick, also known as Gabitude. And Gabby is an amazing young woman in Atlanta who discovered she was a spectacular graphic recorder on paper, but then decided, I wonder what would happen if. And an iPad appeared in her future, and she is reinventing herself as an absolutely stunning, brilliant digital recorder who's doing just amazing things. So we're going to have some time with Gabby, and she can play with you to introduce you to what has become, I think it's fair to say, an obsession with Gabby. But it's a wonderful obsession, and she's not only good at it, she's also been teaching Linda and I, and she is a wonderful teacher. So just before we begin, we do have a tradition in our events, of all the events. We begin with something to slow us down and get us centered. And so this is a brief poem by none other than Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is like a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow. And we think that this work with Gabitude and exploring the transition from paper to digital is freeing up of dreams for people, because there are limitations. Tragically, I have to admit, there are limitations with paper, and there are some delightful advantages with our new digital reality. And so we hope to be able to extend people's dreams and renew and restore dreams for people in ways that in some cases weren't possible previously. So over to you, Linda.
Thanks, Jack. We want to just take a few moments to invite each of us in our space to bring yourself home and fully present and be here now. And we invite you to close or lower your eyes, sit comfortably with your feet flat on the floor and your spine straight, and relax your whole body. And we want to invite you to take 3 deep breaths, each with its own intention. Taking a slow breath in, carry the intention to be centered in your body and this space. Taking a slow breath in and a slow exhale. And in the second breath, to be aware of those you're with and extend your intention to include them. Taking a slow breath in and an exhale. And the third breath, to be open to what's possible. Taking a slow breath in and an exhale. And invite you to lean into the question, what would it be like to have a little more ease and curiosity and playfulness for the next couple of hours? Thank you. And we want to share with you that this is a stretch and a prototype for us. After over a year's hiatus from having Ideas That Matter sessions, we had our first last month and turned to you, Gabby, for this second session. Just seemed like creating some mischief and playing with the visual story in the digital world just seemed perfect. And you are remarkable in your exuberance and I think just an awfully fun teacher and great to work with. I do want to say, I mean, folks are well experienced. We're seeing many old friends and a few new ones. If you need any help to rename yourself, let me know. It is beyond fabulous to see folks we've just been in the course with, folks who've been on some other virtual courses we've held, and some great old friends. Just fun to see you here. Thanks so much for coming. And it's to you, Gabby.
We were about, yay. Well, I just wanted to welcome each and every one of you. I am so excited about the fun mischief making. So how in the world did I get here? I think about this all the time. So let's fast forward back to 2016 when a pandemic wasn't even in kind of our realm of expertise at that point. So I had the fabulous pleasure of being brought into the world of graphics by these wonderful hosts that we have today when I attended TSI. And I was immediately struck because I had been doodling throughout my entire life all over my papers. And I have ADHD. And even when I was in school back in, I'd say like the late 90s, early 2000s, at least in Georgia, ADD was not being talked about at least as much as it is now. But I would always get in trouble with all of my teachers for doodling on my papers. And they would keep telling me that I wasn't learning anything, that I wasn't paying attention. And I had the wherewithal even back then to be like, the only reason why I'm still in my chair is because I'm drawing shooting stars all over this sad piece of notebook paper that I'm not even going to retain anything after this. So when I was lovingly brought in and mentored during the 2016 TSI event, there was an entire light switch that went off and said, oh my God, there are people who do this, but there aren't teachers or educators yelling at them that they're not doing things right, or they're not learning, or they're, so I really poured myself into everything graphic recording. So that meant spending way too long on YouTube and Pinterest and on Google, looking up everything that I could possibly learn, right? So after taking another Maps and Paths course in person in 2017, I really started being intentional and recording meetings or conversations whenever I possibly could. Whenever there was paper in front of me, I would just practice, practice, practice. So fast forward, this is the ADD, the SparkNote version of this story, because I want us to have all the time for playtime. So fast forward to the pandemic, and I remember the specific conversation and meeting I was in, where I had set up on the back wall, I had my teeny tiny little laptop. And then on the back wall, I had this huge piece of 3-backed sheet butcher paper, right? Like we've all seen. And I was doodling and doodling. And then there was some point in this meeting where I was like, oh my God, none of these people can see what I'm drawing. And I felt so irrelevant all of this stuff that I was listening, and I was like, okay, I think there must be a different way to do this, because I was pulling the laptop and I was taking it with me to do the recap. It just wasn't working. It was really difficult to do. And so after that meeting, I remember sitting down and being like, okay, there has to be a different way to do this. What else is out there? And I had an iPad at that time. And one of the themes or apps that kept popping up was Procreate. And I was like, oh, okay, what? Because I tried Adobe and I thought I was going to have a meltdown because that was not user intuitive. No offense to Adobe, love you, Pioneer, et cetera, et cetera. But I was so lost in all of the functions and the tools and the boop, 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 boop. I had no idea what I was doing. And I finally just buckled down and I bought Procreate, and almost immediately I felt so much better. I felt so much better. And as I started practicing, I started getting faster. And as I started going on more Reddit boards and YouTube videos and really like the archives of Procreate's website on how to do things, I found other graphic recorders like me who were already using Procreate, and I just started downloading all of the information that I possibly could. And I started being able to project my iPad onto a Zoom screen and also on the wall. Oh yes, deborahcarter.com.org. It is possible. So I figured out, and now since 2020, all I do is live, eat, breathe, Procreate. That's my life and YouTube and Instagram and blah, blah, blah. But I completely immersed myself in learning everything that I needed to possibly learn about this one app. And through that journey, I realized that I was much faster using my iPad. My graphics were coming out crystal clear and super high quality. And what I didn't think about till later is I also have a back injury. So standing for long periods of time at the paper, I couldn't do it anymore. It was really hurting me. So I used Procreate not just because of how awesome it is, but that was an accessibility thing that I support, that I knew that I needed. And it made such a difference in the way that I was able to show up and listen. Because, once that pain threshold hits, there is nothing that is more important other than get me out of here. And I need to go lie down or maybe take a bath. So I realized in my journey, really just recently, that my iPad became the best way that I could do what I was there to do in a way that served all of the people that I'm trying to serve and show up and support with my doodles, right? So a couple things or a couple pieces really quickly about why I love Procreate. So I'm first of all, really conveniently, there is no mess or cleanup. Yay, right? And I know many of us have experienced the amount of things that we bring with us, whether it's the paper or the chalk or the markers, and I would haul everything out with I was the bag lady with all my 25 bags to wherever I was going, but I don't need to do that, right? So how I use it in person is I have a projector and I hook my iPad up. I hook my iPad up to my projector and I cast it either on a blank wall, or I also have a projector screen that I bring with me. But the setup is very easy. It's so portable. I can take it with me wherever I go. And the only thing I will say, and I'll go into a couple of other devices and what they're capable of, but I landed on Procreate because that was what was right for me. And what's important is whatever thing, whether it be paper or an Android tablet or an iPhone, it just has to work for you. That is the most important part. Because if we're working with something that doesn't really make sense to us intuitively, we're going to be spending the majority of the time trying to find where the tool is rather than listening to the gold that comes from whatever room that we're in and showing up in. So I love Procreate. I will say Procreate is only available for iPad. I do know that I'm going to just pull something up really quickly. So Procreate is for iPad and iPhone. There's Procreate Pocket. In the future, the developers hope to hire an Android team to develop something for an Android device. That is just not on their radar right now. I do not know when it'll be available, but I also live on the Procreate forum boards, so I can just keep refreshing that and find out. And as soon as they come up with one, I will send a bat signal into the air for all of my fabulous Android people, because I want everybody to get to experience this app, because honestly, it is my favorite and I love it. So just to go over some of the other possibilities here, for other devices, right? So I have heard incredible things about the Wacom tablet. I've heard for the Wacom tablet that is for real animation and graphic designer type work. Yes, and I've also seen Wacom tablet be used for live digital graphic recording, and there is some success with that. For me, the program that usually that graphic recorders use with Wacom or whatever it is, it's too complicated for me, right? So once I found Procreate and what worked for me, I kind of stopped there and then delved all of my energy, and still do, into Jedi mastering that one app. So if you want to know, though, other note-taking apps on iPad, I'm pretty sure that the Freeform app comes already loaded on the newer iPads. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Joshua. That is one option. Also, I know somebody who uses the Paper app. They've had some success with that. I have not seen either of those apps do as many things with Procreate, but maybe they did and I did not discover it. That is also possible. And then for Android, I've heard a lot of great things. Thank you for whoever did the sketchbook app. I've heard really great things about that. Also Art Rage, that might be another program that you can use. I will say that Procreate, although many folks who have iPads, it seems like they've already downloaded Procreate. American dollars, it's like $12.99 or $11.99, and then for Canadian it's $17.99. Thank you, Linda, for helping me learn that this morning. And for iPhone, there's also Procreate Pocket. I don't have it on my phone because the small screen makes me itch. So I really do all of my digital doodling on my big in right here. And I don't know this for sure, or we don't know this for sure because they haven't officially announced it yet, but I will say that one of the new things that Apple wants to do with their new iPad Pros is maybe create a 14-inch screen. So the day that they release that, you will not hear from me because I will be sleeping overnight to be the first one to get that 14-inch screen in the line. Thank you. And that's all I'm going to say. So now that we've gone through that, yay. I just want to pause really quick for any questions that are super burning that we really, really want to get out. And then what we're going to do is go into Procreate Basics. Yeah, I wish they had one for Android. I will keep y'all updated. You will be the first ones to know, I swear. Okay. All right. So if there's nothing else, let's dive into some mischief. Yay. I will say the one thing that I do love about Procreate, besides all of it, to narrow it down, is that it is a one-time purchase and it's not a subscription. So you don't have to keep paying and shelling out money for the same thing. So that's really also really great because Adobe and everything around it is expensive. Isn't that great? Missed opportunity. Okay, friends, I'm going to share my screen. Let's get procreating. Yay. Okay. Welcome. Can everybody see my screen? Welcome to my very cluttery gallery. Yay. And I'm going to change the view on this so I can see all of you. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So let's find ideas that matter. Yay. Okay, friends. So for our fabulous Procreate users, I just want to cover some of the basics, right? So this is going to be your gallery. It has all of your, actually, let me go ahead and there we go. There we go. Now we can see the teachable screen. So what's really incredible about Procreate, besides all of it, which I hope that is the last time I'll say that, is that you have a choice of how you project your canvas, right? So what I'm in right now is just the regular Zoom mirroring for teaching mode, but I'll show you how to do it. You can also project it where it's just the canvas and nobody can see all the weird stuff that you're doing in the background. They just see the final version that you have on the screen. So that's pretty freaking awesome. Okay, so we are going to open a new canvas. And in order to do that, we are going to press the plus sign in the right-hand corner of our screen. And you can decide, I have a bunch of different canvas kinds, right? You'll have the standard, you won't have the inky or the sun or the gabitude. So let's just press screen size. Yeah. We good? Beautiful, beautiful. So, all right. So once we get out our canvas, I just want to do a little bit of showing us where the things are for Procreate users. And then once we play, then we'll get into the actual playtime, right? So a bunch of different things for Procreate. So we have our gallery button. On the left-hand side, we have these, what could these be? Whoa, there's a lot of stuff over here. So the first thing that I want to call your attention to is this wrench. And the wrench is really important because this is our action menu. So what can you do with Procreate? You can insert a file. You can upload a PDF and annotate it. You can insert a photo. That's my dog, Ollie, or my son. He's back here being very helpful. So you can insert a photo. What else can you do with Procreate? Did we see how something just disappeared from my screen? You know what's not on paper? An undo button. And where do we find an undo button? Well, on the left hand, or I don't know if it comes, I have it set to the left. You may have it set on the right, but there are two up and downs, for a very technical term, two up and down toggles that will be either on the left or the right hand side of your screen. So the top slider is the size of your brush. Boop, boop, magic stuff is happening. And then the bottom is the opacity. So how opaque or transparent your brush will be. So, and we have on the bottom of those two slides, we slide up and down toggle things, title pending, we have the undo and redo button. Yeah, paper doesn't have undo, redo. And now I can't write on paper. And now when I'm drawing in the circle or the zero, it's just a sad donut because nothing else is happening and I'm just making it worse. So now I don't know how to use paper anymore, but it's all worth it because Procreate's incredible. Okay, sorry, Jonathan Linda. So we're going to go back to our wrench. And there are a bunch of things that you can do with your canvas, right? So you can cut, copy, and paste. Or if you go to the second option over, it's going to be the canvas button. We can crop and resize our canvas size. Oh boy, game changer right here, people. We can, I'm not going to do page assist or I'm not going to do animation or page assist. I just want you to know that you can animate in Procreate now. And you do that by clicking the animation assist, but you're going to have to come back for the Procreate 505 because that, I don't want to give out all the fun answers. No, this is new. I haven't played with this as much because I'm not an animator, but you can absolutely animate and edit the frames in Procreate. It's pretty freaking cool. So I'm going to turn that back off because we don't want that. What else can you do? You can have a drawing guide. So if you need lines, you can do that. You can flip the canvas horizontal. You can also take your fingers. And if you take your fingers and you press on your canvas and you kind of pinch it, you can turn your canvas upside down. So lots you can do with the canvas. You can also share it in pretty much every single format that ever needs to exist. So Next to the wrench, we have the adjustments. So you can do a bunch of different things. I'm not going to go through this because I want to get to the juicy stuff. You also have a cutting tool. And you can do so much with this cutting tool. And you also have a selecting tool. So if I put that image back in here, if I use the little mouse arrow, I can move my photo wherever I want. I can resize it. I can make it go. I can warp it. I can do pretty much anything to a photo, right? So now this is the juicy, juicy part, right? So let's go to the right-hand side of our screen up here. And this is really important. So these, not only can you draw in a particular brush, but you can also smudge and erase in a particular brush. Oh, chef's kiss, incredible. So the first option up here is the little paintbrush, and that's going to be our brush, our paintbrush library. And there are so many different kinds of brushes. So not only are there a bunch of brushes that already come downloaded in Procreate, yes, and a lot of creators have made brushes that you can buy, or maybe if you go on the Procreate folio, which I'll put in the chat in just a minute, you can download them for free. Yay, free. $3.99. I love it. So there are so many different kinds of brushes and stamps that you can download. And I will be sure to post some of those in the chat during our break. So to get back to this, you can also, or the next little option over is your smudgy brush. So that is really helpful for shading and things that you want. Like, honestly, it's real. All of it is really helpful, right? But it's really cool that you can pick which brush that you draw in, that you erase in, that you smudge in, all of these different things. You can customize it. It's incredible. You can also adjust your brush settings. And you do that when you select a brush, and you will know which brush is selected because it'll be highlighted. Do we see this blue? Yeah, so you know which brush you've selected because it's highlighted, right? So you can also play with the brush settings by, once it's highlighted, you give it another little single tap on the brush that you want to change. Boop. So we did paintbrushes, smudgy brushes, eraser brushes. Now, the other two things that you'll need are, so if we look in the top right-hand corner after the eraser, there's going to be these two, I call them graham crackers. I know that's not what they are, but we're going to call them little s'mores crackers, okay? Just for shiggles. So if we click on our little two graham crackers, this is what's going to be your layers. And your layers are if anybody has any familiarity with Illustrator, they have layers too. But wherever you draw, well, it would help if I used boop, 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 boop. Now, as we see, it's on the first layer. You can do a lot of things with layers. If you can adjust, if you click on the N next to your layer, you can adjust the opacity of that layer, which is incredible for tracing. Tracing. It's such a beautiful thing. So whenever I want to, let's put that photo of Ollie back in. So I have him on a layer, and this is so helpful when I get with groups and I have logos to draw and people that I need to draw beforehand during my prep. And I will talk more about prep when we get to the helpful hints. Tracing, Procreate makes it so easy for you to do, right? So let's say I want to make him a blue dog. But if I adjust the opacity, I can draw him on top. And then there's his little nose when I take it away. So your layers matter. That's where we hold all of our doodly content. Patent pending, doodly content. So I also want to make sure that we go through our color wheel. And there are so many different things that you can do with your color wheel. This is called the color wheel disc. There are a bunch of different views, right? So this is your disc. The outer circle controls the color. The inner circle controls the shade, tone, hue, all of that. Does that make sense? Cool. And then we also have, if we go down to where it says at the bottom of this window where it says disc, classic, harmony. Oh, just you wait. So if I click harmony and I move, Procreate will pick out complementary colors. So I don't have to do all that mental gymnastics of thinking which color is going to go with that. Isn't that amazing? And what I can do is I can decide what kind of colors I want the harmony feature to find. So ooh, ah, says the chorus of lovely people. So that's really cool. And then what you can also do, which is really helpful, is every color in the history of color has a color code. And so if you're working with an organization, and this happens all the time, that has specific branding colors, you can color match if you choose, or what you can also do is get the organization to send you the brand color codes, and then you can type them in this box right here, and it'll automatically pop up all of the values needed for that color. Yeah, that's my song. Doesn't rhyme, but that is essential because you do not want to waste time doing all of this mishigas, as my people say, in the moment, right? This is part of your prep, right? So finally, and this is pretty cool. Just kidding. It's incredible. All of it's incredible. Finally, the thing that I really love about this is the last option on here is called your palette option. And you can create palettes from a couple different really key ways, right? So to create a color palette, I'm going to press this little plus sign, which really is a visual motif throughout Procreate. Like if you want to add something, you're going to look for the plus sign 9 times out of 10, right? So you can create a new palette a bunch of different ways. So let's try the first one. So we can create a palette just by going to our disc and selecting a bunch of colors. Yay. Or yes, and what we can do is we can also create a palette from a photo. And the photo that I just imported, every color that Procreate could pick up is now in this one palette. Fabulous. So you can also create, let me see what's fun. Oh, I'll do my Harry Potter Lego stickers because I'm cool. You can also create a palette from our camera and see how it finds the colors, or most of them, in these little stickers, and it picks them up. And then I can take a photo of it, and that color palette just appeared. Yeah. Oh, mind blown. We haven't even scratched the surface of mischief, my loves. Like, it's so user friendly for doing the work that you need to do and giving you a lot of shortcuts to get there. None of you may use paper ever again. We don't know. I don't know, but it's possible, right? Like, there are so many things that you can do with this. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing all these fun light bulb moments and I'm loving them so. So I am going to try to be quiet because I know that we have our break in exactly 2 minutes. But before we go to our break, I wanted to know if there were any, like, I haven't checked the chat in a minute. Oh my gosh, amazing, yay. Oh yes, this is being done on my iPad Pro. I have not, now this means take this with a grain of salt, but I have not had, there are sararogers.com. There are, and I'm so excited to give you the tips and tricks. Oh my gosh, there are so many people who do this really. I mean, obviously not looking as great as me, but there are definitely so many resources, and I'm so excited to get them to you. I will say I have not had the success, if you will, of being able to do a lot of doodling straight onto a laptop. Now, if you have a Surface Pro or one of those that, you know, flippity flops back into either one or the other, maybe that is a laptop that you can use. But I am iPad all the way. Reluctantly and not reluctantly, but, you know, I have a thing. I'm not going to be the one to say, okay, everybody go out and get an iPad. No, that's not what I'm saying. That worked for, this happened to work for me. And this happened to be the device that the app is on and available for. But like I said, if you are super, yay, Meredith. If you are super, into an Android and like that's what you're really good at and you want to stick with that, mazel tov, mazel, it's totally fine. Really, this is whatever works for you. And the digital tips and tricks that I'll share with you will be applicable to any handheld device that you're on, right? Those are things that I'll share with y'all that I keep in mind and do to prepare myself to learn more, whatever have you. I have an iPad Pro, wondering if you can use your pen with this app. I have an Apple Pencil. I have found, this is a great question. I have found, and I learned this the hard way because when I first got my iPad many personalities ago, I thought, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy the Apple Pencil. I'm just going to buy whatever thing I see as the suggested you might want to purchase thing. And I don't need it and blah, blah, blah. Apple, in many of the things that I love about them and also hate about them, they make it very challenging to use anybody else's technology and accessories with their thing. That sucks and I hate it. And There is no way. That's how they get your money. That's one of the ways. Unfortunately, I have found that the Apple Pencil works best with Procreate, and the stuff that I do with it. But that is not to say if you would like to get a different stylus, etc., and it works, hell, do that. I mean, whatever works. I have noticed that when I use other stylus C's, whatever, it's glitchy and it doesn't write the way that I want it to write. And yeah, we don't have time to do that if we want to be present. And I also just want to say one of the things that I've been able to do recently is I have made a couple of my own fonts. And I am able to, and you are able to download your font, not just in Procreate to add text, but you can also download the font file into your MacBook device and you can use it on all of your different boop, 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 boop things. Yeah. Yeah. So I will be sure to light bulb moments, but it makes a difference, right? So when I made my font, it's my handwriting, but now when I'm listening, I'm typing and it's still my font and my handwriting, but it's literally a font that I can put in and use for all of my other marketing stuff wherever I need it. So with that, I just talked well into the break. So I am actually shutting up now. And should we break for a 10-minute break? Yay. Should we come back at 2:04? Yes, it is very game changing. And all of these things will become, and I'll talk about this more during the play, or the tips and tricks. All of this becomes easier with muscle memory as you do it more. And that is one of the main tips that I'll share is really just spend 10 minutes a day playing. And Jack, who's been one of my fabulous guinea pigs for one-on-one Procreate tutorials, if there are any things that you would like to share beyond, please.
I would agree with Abby. A little bit a day developing your muscle memory is huge because something that seemed impossible last week is suddenly you don't even notice you're doing it little by little. So, but it's amazing how quickly you can dive in.
And I'm learning stuff every single day. There are things that I thought I knew how to do one way, and then I spent a little bit more time with it. And then I discovered this whole new way. And that is part of the fun and the journey. Yay! Welcome, everyone. I missed every single moment of while you all were away. So this now comes the fun part where we're going to play and we are going to practice getting down and dirty with that pen in our beautiful hands. So I'm going to share my screen. Yes, I do want to continue. Thank you, Zoom. You're so polite. So right now I'm going to stay in teaching mode, right? So just so you know, you can, like I said earlier, you can project your canvas. So the only thing that you see is what I'm directly drawing up here, right? But I do want you guys to see teacher mode, right? And that's not what it's called. That's half of these things are not what Procreate calls them. My names are better. It's fine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and we are going to select a brush, a painting brush, my friends. In order to do that, we're going to go back to the top right-hand side of our screen with our Apple Pencil. And we are going to click on our paintbrush like this. And if y'all want, you can, all of these brush palettes up here, I created on my own, But the ones that have a little icon like sketching, inking, drawing, those are the brushes that are loaded up in Procreate already. So let's, in order to do our doodling, let's maybe go to one of the calligraphy pens we click on our brush pen and our brush library, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options down to calligraphy. And let's pick the monoline brush. And then after we pick a brush, doesn't have to be monoline. I just use that a lot because it's really great for those solid lines of drawing. What we're going to do is we're going to divide our paper, or our canvas, if you will, into 4s. And it does not have to be perfect. Boop. How are we doing? Yeah. Awesome. So we are going to start with people, right? Because we all got to draw people. And as many of us know, I'm going to use black. And we're also going to pick a color from our color wheel, right? So let's also make sure that we go to our color wheel and we select a darker color. I'm just using black. You don't have to use black, pick any color, but a color that's dark enough that you can see, right? That's important. Whether you are on paper or iPad or blah, the same rules apply, in that whatever color that we choose for our main doodles, it should be a dark enough color that people are going to be able to see, right? So, are we all with me so far? Yeah, lovely. So, I have picked black, and in the top left corner, let's just play with some people. So there are a couple of people versions that you can do, right? So you can do stick. Yay. You can do heart people. You can do star people. How are we doing, y'all? I see lovely nods. Yay. We can do box people. So with like a box person, I make their little body. So cute. I make their little body a little box. Boop, boop. So we have the different kind of people. Ignore what I'm doing. Boop, boop, boop. This is just bothering me. Okay, there we go. Smush. Okay, so there are a bunch of different people. Now, the people that I like doing, and this is after years of practicing whatever style works for me, right? Linda has recently named them swooshers. So for my swoosher people, I have a head, maybe like a little body. But that's it. Swooshers. They're enhanced stick figures. But I don't always have to draw out the whole thing, right? And maybe I'll give my little swoosher some facial expressions. But that's a person. It's a swoosher. It gives you just enough to know that there's a worried face, or we're scared, or we're nervous. And maybe if I'm feeling fancy, and now we know that that person is not having a good time. But it's not complicated, right? And that is the whole point. And as you get faster, you will find, and as you play more, whatever device you use, you will find the style of person that works for you. So let's say I want to draw somebody who uses a power chair, right? Oh, I forgot. I don't want to zoom in all the way. I'll do like a head and a wheel. Maybe like the rest. Boop, boop, boop. Mm, mm. And there you have it. It's a simple swoosher. It's a simple picture, but it tells you something. This is a character, right? So that's people. Let's do some common icons. So let's go to any questions about people before I keep going? Okay, so let's go to our icons. Let's go to this area right here. That's my people. So let's do icons. So what kind of icons do we use for a lot of our doodling? Like a house? Right? This is stuff we already know. But the point is that not only is it different when you're drawing it on paper, but the feel of the pen against the screen is a different experience than writing on paper. Now, I will say I have heard of graphic recorders, whichever device they use, there's like a paper overlay for your device. I have not used those before, but that might be something that you might want to get and research, et cetera, right? But it's possible. Oh, hello. Can I just stop my own train of thought to bring up another cool thing that I love about Procreate? Ah, yes. So for those who want a video recap of everything you've done on a canvas, you might be wondering, is that possible on Procreate? I am here to tell you it is absolutely possible. So you can have, if you go to your wrench and you go 1, 2, 3, 4 options over to your video and you click time-lapse replay, you can have a whole replay of everything that you've done on that canvas up until that point. Yeah. And what's cool is you can upload it to whatever video software editing boop, boop, boop program. And you can also edit each of the frames and the speed and all these other things that you can edit in a video that I don't know about because that's not my special skill, but I know it's a lot of other people's, but it's still awesome. So I do know a lot of graphic recorders on Instagram. Not only do they post, and I'll get into all of the Instagram tips and tricks and stuff because there's so many. But I know a lot of graphic recorders on Instagram who will post the finished graphic, and then they'll also post a reel that's a condensed version of the video replay so that people can see how the graphic was created. I'm in love. It's cool. My husband knows. Anyway, so yeah, I bet he's worried / he's fine with me running off with all the Procreate people. I don't care because they're so brilliant. Love you. Anyway, let's get back to playing. Okay, so we have our sad house that looks like it's been through the Wizard of Oz specific moment when it was dropped on the sister. Okay, now we're a little straighter. So what's really cool, as we saw me just do, is pressing the undo button. My house was a little cockeyed, right? Well, if I use the selecting tool, boop, now I can make it good again. So in order to do that, take my Apple Pencil and I go to the top left and I'm looking for this button with the mouse or the cursor, and I select it and I take my Apple Pencil and I touch and hold the green dot on top of the image, and I just slide my Apple Pencil wherever I want it to correct or adjust. That's pretty neat. There's also this other neat feature that I'm just going ahead and talking about called, so you see when I hit the selecting tool, there's this little menu that pops up at the bottom. There's this really nifty trick called snapping. And it snaps on the same line as the other markings on the page. So do we see how it's kind of like dragging a little bit because all of these different lines are popping up? So when I have the snapping line, I know that this is the middle of the page. So it helps keep everything in a straight line, because I write uphill, downhill, but never in a straight line. And now I can't do that on paper anymore because I was already bad at it. And Procreate has spoiled me. But you can move things on the same plane and in relation, and it'll snap in place based on what else is on the canvas at that time. Pretty neat. Okay, let's keep going because I am already way behind because I get too excited about all these tips and tricks, guys. Gosh. Okay, so let's practice. If we're still doing common icons, a light bulb. Maybe I'll do that. Boop. Ooh, that is a topsy-turvy light bulb. Then we have that, we have that, we have that, and we have the little thingy, and then we have, oop. Boop. So we have our light bulb, and then let's say I want to make little, I call them pizzazzle. Nobody calls them this. I call it pizzazzle, or little emphasis marks, right? And we've all done, many of us have done this, in some way or another on paper, but the feel is totally different on your screen, right? So there are there are tons more icons, right, that we can draw. And I know I'm moving quickly. So let's go to our bottom quadrant on the left and let's do some thought bubbles and comment bubbles, right? Because we have a lot of those. Or I don't know about y'all, but I use those all the time. So for thought bubbles or comment bubbles, I start off doing a square. You can also do a little circle. I found that holding the Apple Pencil near the tip is the best place where you get your most controlled writing action, if you will. rather than holding it back here. So close to the tip. All right. So I also add or can add like another thought or comment bubble behind it if two people are talking, right? I can also add my little pizzazzles and embellishments if, you know, if that's a part, if somebody has said something, you know, really passionately or something, you know, I can highlight that conversation. Oh, you funny little Mark, go away, you. I can highlight that visually with just a few marks. You can make something completely come alive with just a few little dashes, right? So then let's go ahead and do stars, what I call pizzazzle. Those are your stars. Those are your embellishments. Those are your arrows and your lists, right? So when I'm doing a list, there are a bunch of cool ways you can do it. You can do a standard list. Now, what I want to show you here, guys, really important. So when you draw, when you take your Apple Pencil, and if we see I'm holding, what I'm doing is I'm holding the Apple Pencil down on the canvas. Did we see how that edit ellipse thing just pops up? So what's also really cool is you can edit a particular shape and resize it even before you've let it go. So how to do that? Let's try a square. So here's my square. So I'm holding my Apple Pencil down on the screen, and see how that quadrilateral menu just popped up at the top. If you click on that arrow going down, there are a couple of things that you can do here. You can make it into a rectangle or a square or a multi-lined shape or an ellipse. So Procreate will guess based off of the shape that you've drawn, and you hold it down till that window pops up. Procreate will auto correct it and guess the shape that you're trying to make. And then you have the option of editing that shape in the different options that Procreate has guessed.
Does it do that with stars?
Yes, not as well. So what happens? So let me do a star. And this is, sometimes it works beautifully. Sometimes it will auto-correct into a polyline and one of my star legs will just disappear. And then it becomes like a weird 4, not star, but whatever a 4 is. Like it'll not, right? So I've gotten really good at practicing stars, just drawing them on my own, but let's see what the heck. Okay. So what's key is for a star, and to make these, aha, so it worked. So if you draw the legs of the star out far enough, right, and you hold it down, it should, that where it pops up, edit polyline, you should get that option, and it should still have all of the star legs or points on it. That's what they're called, star legs. Nice. Okay, new term, everybody. So does that kind of make sense? How are we feeling? I know this is so much. And thankfully, we will have a fabulous recording where you get to hear all of my singing and inflections again while we go through the same thing. Yeah. So that is stars. So I also want to go through really quickly because I want us to have some time for doodle draws. So lettering is also important, right? Just like we are taught when we on paper, practice your handwriting, practice, 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 because even holding a pen and holding your Apple Pencil and writing on your tablet versus writing on your paper is totally different, right? So it's really important that we practice the alphabet on our tablets as well. So I will say before whatever that thought was that disappeared out of my head and now I'm covering. So what's also important is to use different brushes for your titles, your headings, and your body text, right? So I'm going to go just from the Procreate brushes right now. What I really like for the headings is I like the brush pen, or titles. I like the brush pen, and you can find that in the calligraphy brush palette library. So brush pen is really great. Big. Yay. One of the resources that I will drop in the chat. So how many of us are familiar with Neuland markers? Yeah. Well, I'm so excited. That was a creepy little laugh, but I'm so excited to tell y'all some beautiful artist has, or digital graphic recorder has created digital brushes that are exact replicas of the Neuland markers. I will put that in the chat, I promise you, because I'm very excited about this. So the brushes are, it's called Illumistories. And that is my crappy writing because I keep hitting my my iPad stand, but it writes exactly in digital form the big one, or the big marker tip. They also have the wedge nib, which I used to use for a lot of my doodle, like my everyday doodle drawing. And they have an art brush for those pizzazzle moments, if you will. And they also have a bullet, which is for like everyday text and doodling. So I will be sure, oh, that was a bad B. So I will be sure to put that link in the chat to those brushes. They have been godsends, really. Okay, so titles. Lettering is important. I went through tracing. What I also want to show you is shading. So there are a couple different brushes that come on Procreate that are already loaded on there that are really great for shading. So if we go to our brush library and we pick the airbrushing brush library, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. And if we pick like our soft airbrush, and it should be the first one that we see. This is my favorite shading brush. My favorite. You can do so much with just a little bit of shading. And better than that, hopefully. But you can do so much with the smallest amount of color. So it's important that, you have or you think about what are some colors that you want to write with, what are colors that you want for emphasis, right? Our pizzazzle, and what are the colors you want for your text? All of these different things you can program Procreate to have it right there with you. You can also customize your own brush set, just like you can with a palette. And that's really helpful because as you can see here, I have my Gabitude and my Gabitude brush set, which, you know, there are a lot of brushes in here, but my favorite, obviously, are the polka dot brushes at the bottom. Yes. Somebody, some beautiful soul who's incredible, and I want to write them a sonnet in a not a weird way. They made polka dot brushes. I have no idea how they did it, but oh, yeah. So I'm going to pull up some examples of previous work. That's a polka dot brush that I used for emphasis as a container. Didn't use it for my main doodles, but it gave it just enough pizzazzle to make it pop. And whatever device you are using, set yourself up with those tools on the front end. That could be part of your practice sesh. So before I keep going, would we like to doodle to some music? Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to do about let's say, what do you think, Jack? Like five or 6 minutes of doodling to music. Okay. So Jack is going to play some fabulous music, and let's go ahead and get a new canvas screen, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our gallery and we're going to press plus, and we're going to add and we're going to create a new canvas. And I just invite everybody, as you hear the different sounds, to just doodle what comes to you. And then at the end, we're going to do a gallery tour. Yay! And at the end, we'll hold up all of our doodles.
Let me know if it's too loud when we start. And here we go.
Olha que coisa mais linda, mais cheia de graça, ela, menina que vem, que passa, num doce balanço, caminho do mar. Moça do corpo dourado do sol de Ipanema, o seu balançado é mais que um poema, é a coisa mais linda que eu já vi passar. Ah, porque estou tão sozinho? Ah, porque tudo é tão triste?
Sì, un mostro io son. Il che fracasso. Io sono. E così docile non farmi tanto rilasso.
Okay, this one's for Gabby.
How was that, y'all? On the count of 3, I'm going to, we're going to all just, wherever your camera is, just hold up your thing, whatever you're drawing on, into the cam, and let's do a little gallery tour. 1, 2. Ooh. Oh my God. Y'all. Oh my God. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, we already have polka dot. Oh, we found a textured brush. Yay. This changes. I love it. Oh my God. Well done. Awesome. Oh, thank you, Kristen. Yay. This is fabulous. Well done. Oh, that just made my heart sing. Oh, I love it. I love it. So thank you, David. Oh, I love the sailboat. Oh, I love it. Is that using the paper app? You can come off mute.
Yeah, I'd really love to try the Procreate. So I'm going to buy that as soon as this is over.
Oh my gosh, why are they not paying me? Hello, they have all these new subscribers. No, I'm so glad to hear that. I really am.
By the way, paper does have an undo and redo, but also a bunch of the tools require a subscription, an additional subscription. And I'm assuming that Procreate is a one-time purchase. For everything.
A one-time purchase for everything. Now, the brushes that I use, which I will put in the chat because I want everybody to be able to have them, they are for purchase. So that is a fabulous segue into the digital tips and tricks. Yay, yay, yay. And I have gone through a bunch already, but I just want to reiterate some of the ones that I've reviewed. The best and only way that you get better at whatever digital thing that you're doing and using, practice. Take 10 minutes, if you can spare it, every day, and just play and click on all the buttons that you can click on and just see what they do. And that is, once I started doing that, and then I sacrificed everything else because I got so excited about it that I just lived on this app forever. Dang need to do that. But that was the way that I was able to figure out where things were and how and why and how they worked, et cetera, et cetera. Another thing that I would, if y'all want to see it, I'm just going to quickly share. So another thing that I did intentionally was, come on, people. Okay,
14.
there we go. I created an icon library. So these were just doodles that I either looked on Google and practiced drawing myself, what have you, but an icon library. Whatever device you use, you should have a canvas that's really just for the most used icons so that you can pick and plop wherever your heart desires, right? And then after you start drawing them enough, then you won't really need it because you'll just be drawing it, right? So that would be a thing that is really important. I would also say one of my biggest inspiration, Instagram, Pinterest, Google. Instagram, I will say most, I get a lot of my stuff through them. There are a lot of people that you can follow. What I would do is, look up hashtags and follow hashtags. So what are some of the hashtags that Gabby follows? Graphic recording, graphic facilitation. And yes, these will all be in the resources packet that I'll send you. Sketchnoting, doodling, anything that is a keyword for this work, that's what I would do. And I would follow those hashtags because that's how I found a lot more people doing it digitally and across the world. And I've connected with people that I didn't know that I would connect with. So Instagram. I will say what's also helpful is Procreate has an Instagram account, and on their Instagram, they do a bunch of different reels breaking down the different step-by-step processes, right? They're quick videos. YouTube, you can look up Procreate on YouTube. There are also a bunch of different people on Instagram besides Procreate that do Procreate tips, and I will be sure to include all of these people's handles in the resource thing. And I will say there are so many more that I haven't even discovered yet. But I did just want to show you just some of the places that this has, nope. Where is my, okay, so just, this is a portrait practice that I traced of me, but I did it via Procreate, right? And it's super easy to trace. And there are so many different tutorials on Instagram and YouTube about how to trace. And I showed you that earlier with little Ollie dog. So there are so many different things. I just wanted to show y'all a couple highlights of recent stuff that I've done. And we saw that one with polka dots, more polka dots. There are so many different ways to shade and bring life to a simple comment bubble. And a lot of these things that I learned were either on Instagram or I just found through playing, right? So continuing with the tips and tricks. Okay, your prep time is your friend. Budget yourself plenty of prep time because a lot goes into prep time, right? Finding different colors of the organization, tracing logos that you need to trace, or faces or people or whatever it is. I mean, Instagram will really take you to most of the things that I would recommend. It's really about seeing what other people are doing out there. And we know that the visual recording community, we're so it's such a community of abundance rather than scarcity, right? There are so many people that I've gotten tips and tricks from, visual little tips and embellishments on how to improve, like how I draw a thought bubble to make it more dynamic and engaging. And a lot of that was done looking at Google and Instagram, typing in graphic recording, graphic facilitation. There are so many different people out there that are doing this. And I think this is an opportunity, right, as we've moved into a digital world, to really lean into that, right? And really lean into that stretch. So your prep is your friend. Prep. I'm going to put into the chat right now. There is this incredible graphic recorder. I mentioned the Neuland brushes for Procreate. I am sending you the link. Her name, it's called Illuma Stories. And not only does she have incredible brushes, but she has awesome resources specifically for folks who want to do graphic recording on a tablet. So not just graphic design, but she is a visual communicator and has specific tips, including how to share your iPad and mirror it to your Zoom screen like I've been doing today. So that's who taught me how to do it. And she also has the digital graphic recording Neuland style brush set. So I will copy this brush set and I will put it for you in the chat. And yes, it will also be in your resources page, my lovely friends. I'm also going to drop the Procreate discussion board, where a magnificent person has compiled a lot of the different creators who've done free brushes and dumped it into one web page. And I'm sending you that web page and all of these brushes. I don't know about all of them, all of the links. Most of these are free. Most of them are free. The Illumina Stories, I'm pretty sure the package, the brush set is about $11.99 USD. It has been a while since I bought them. So I'm not quite sure on that price, but the last time I checked, that's what it was. You can also go on the Procreate website. They have a lot of different things and they link to a bunch of different artists. My experience is that the Instagram reels that people do teaching Procreate are faster and they're shorter for my lovely challenged attention span. So that if you're looking for short content, Instagram is your BFF, but Instagram's your BFF anyway, for looking at a lot of these resources. And then really just Google and Pinterest. I've done a lot of Pinteresting, including figuring out what kind of style of people and icons and what have you works for me. And what I'll also do is I will give a couple in the resource packet. I will give a couple of brush palette recommendations. Like these are the key ones that I use for graphic recording all the time. I will highlight a couple of those, the ones that already come preloaded on Procreate, so y'all can grab them. And then I can also remember to do a tutorial or include a tutorial of how to create a brush set, because we did not get to that. And I just want to let y'all know what we've done here today is scratch the very, very tip of the very beautiful iceberg that is digital graphic recording, right? There is so much more that can be done. And there's so much more exploration that I invite each and every one of us to do, to find out what else is possible. And this really is just the beginning of what is possible here. There's so much, and there's so much more. And I'm really excited to be able to go deeper into that. So I will say before we break for questions, I am around. I am dropping my email in the chat. gabitudegraphics@gmail. Oh, that's not an L. .com. Gabitude Graphics. Awesome. I am on Instagram. I see some of y'all already found me. Yay, I'll follow you back. I am on Instagram as Gabitude. And my logo is exactly, or it looks exactly like me. I'm literally wearing a blue polka dot dress in my logo. So I am here. I could talk. I do actually not could. I do talk about Procreate, I think, all day nonstop, unless someone tells me to go away. So I am here for questions right now, obviously, but beyond that, I'm so here for questions. Please follow me on Instagram. Would love to stay in contact as much as possible, and through email and through et cetera, but I am here and I'm so excited, and we will be continuing to make a lot of mischief together. Thank you all.
Hey, Gabby, thank you so much. That was fast and furious. And I don't know if you have a short answer to how you shared the image from your iPad into the Zoom window.
She does. So on my screen, I click the green button at the bottom that says share screen. And what pops up for me under the basic kind of option, it says iPhone/iPad. And I click that and I press share. And now what I do is, and I can't show it to you, or maybe, no, I can't show it while I'm doing it. So then what I do is on my iPad, I take my finger and I swipe down on the right side to get my control panel, like this. And then I select under the, oh, that's helpful. Under all of the controls, there are the two little graham crackers again, but it's for screen mirroring. And I press my two little graham crackers, and then here are all the devices that I'm able to share. And then I pick Zoom Gabby or Zoom, whatever your Zoom is. And then it loads a little bit. It takes a minute, but then we shared it. And one of the videos from my friend at Illuma Stories, my friend, I've never met them, but I'm telling them I'm their friend. One of my friends from Illuma Stories, one of her videos, I will remember to highlight that for you because it actually goes in. Oh, did lindacon.com.org start sharing her screen?
Didn't mean to.
No, did you do it though? Did it
Yeah,
work?
I did.
Yes, yes. So you can either connect it through cable or through AirPlay. I use AirPlay. If I have to, I'll use my USB-C cable, but I'm all about the AirPlay right now. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, and then the Illuma Stories, like one of her videos is specifically how to cast your iPad up into your Zoom screen. So I will remember to flag that for you all.
Yeah, I think that could take some time in practice.
Oh, all of this takes time. That is one of the main themes, besides, oh, Gabby's singing again, is practice, 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 right? That is what this takes, all of it, right? Practicing from practicing your lettering, practicing your icons, just the feel of how the pencil or the stylus drags across the screen. That is really important to refining your skill.
one of the things I'd like to mention is that Deborah Carter and I have been facilitating paths with individuals and families on Zoom, with Deborah doing graphic recording, and I'll be usually doing the inquiry, and it's a very, very powerful experience for everybody. Deborah ships the completed paths, which she's been doing on paper, to the family, but is also taking videos. And I just wanted to share one related tool I've been using Trello as a way of capturing and sharing and giving people the ability to get back into their own path work. And
That's great, Dave. And
So-
thanks for that. And we're doing much the same thing. Linda's become not only the wizard of Zoom, but also of Padlet, which performs parallel functions. So these really work. But today, thank you, Gabby.
I will say I did my first path with our two wonderful hosts. I did my first path not my first path, I'm sorry, my first path digitally. And it did work. It is possible. And surprisingly, it was not as much of a meltdown on my end as I was expecting. I'm not really going to show I'm just going to lift it up. Linda, is that okay? I'm just going to lift it up and people aren't really going to see it that much. I just want to is it okay if I just show the final product?
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll check in. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you're not going to screen share it. So Jack did the graphic on the wall, and Gabby concurrently doodled on the iPad.
Yeah.
So the Pathfinder in that case had both.
Yeah. Another prototype.
Yes.
Folks,
So-
it is a couple minutes after 3. You've been fabulous. Thank you for leaning into this. Gabby, thank you so much for guiding us in this play. And I will get the recording and the resources out to you end of next week at the outside. Really great to see you. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Really, really appreciate this.
Thank you all so
Unmute,
much.
kiss each other goodbye. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
here. Bother me with questions. I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you.